My name is Annie Spear, and I am an Early Literacy Professional Learning Coordinator for the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators, which is also known as MESA. I am also a first grade teacher for the Michigan Learning Channel. I am thrilled to be the host of our work today, along with Mrs. Haley Skelly, who is a kindergarten teacher on the Michigan Learning Channel. Haley is actually a kindergarten teacher right now working in schools at Kennedy Elementary. So she's finishing up her school day and will be joining us shortly at about 4:15. Today, while you're here with us, we will be diving in to learn about two of our lessons that fall under the category of word builders. But before we get started, I just want to give you a few links, things that will be helpful to support your learning today. The first thing I want you to have is a copy of the Essential Instructional Practices in Early Literacy for your reference. At MESA and the Early Literacy Task Force, that is what our work in literacy is all grounded to. And as an Early Literacy Professional Learning Coordinator, that's the work that I do with my colleagues, Erin and Lisa Brown, working with coaches to help align the practices that our coaches do with the Essential Instructional Practices. The essentials are for teachers. The essentials are the how we teach them, and they help teachers to know and understand research-supported ways to teach children literacy skills. The other piece I want you to have is a link to the Michigan English Language Arts Standards. If you happen to be on our call and are from out of state, we were excited to see a few of you are from out of state. These are very close to the Common Core standards. They basically just have the name Michigan in front of them. But as you probably all know, the standards are the what. It's what we're going to make sure we teach children at every grade level. All of the materials will be available to you today in a learner guide that I'll be sharing in just a few minutes, and also at the close of the session. Just so you know, if you don't have your chat box open, you would want to open that because we will be adding these resources to the chat as we go along. So to start things off a little bit more, I would like to introduce Jillian Gainsley, who is the Programming Director for the Michigan Learning Channel. Take it away, Jillian.
Thanks, Annie. And thanks everybody for being here today. We are thrilled to have so many people on this call, and we're very excited to be working with MAISA. We've been working with MESA really since the beginning of the Michigan Learning Channel on a number, on Read, Write, Roar and on literacy education for the channel, which is has been around since January. But this is the first big professional learning event that we've hosted together, and it's going great. We also want to thank our sponsor, We Are Television. We thank our sponsors. So we're going to thank AAA, who has helped make this literacy learning series possible. And so I just wanted to tell folks a little bit about the Michigan Learning Channel in case you're not already familiar with it. The Michigan Learning Channel is a TV channel. So if folks don't have internet at home, you can actually get these lessons on television and you can tell that to your students. We also have everything online at michiganlearning.org. We really started with K3, so you can find Read, Write, Roar, which is this literacy series you'll find out more about today. There's also a great math program called Math Mites. We have awesome programming that comes in from museums and zoos and the DNR, and we bring in science and social studies and art materials and SEL materials from other places. But we're really focused on literacy for the next few months. And so on October 1st, we're going to launch the Let's Read Challenge. This is something you can do with your classroom. It's also something you can do at home with your family if you'd like. And really, it's just a 60-day challenge, and we're challenging everyone to try and read 1,000 minutes or just to read as much as they want to meet their reading goals and to do a lot of reading. So you can find out more about that challenge at michiganlearning.org/Let's Read. And finally, I want to shout out some of the amazing people on this call. We have a bunch of our Read, Write, Roar teachers actually joining us today. We also have Susan Townsend and Rhonda Provost, both from MESA, who have joined us. And then finally, we have our Michigan Learning Channel coordinators. So these are people who are stationed at each one of the PBS stations across Michigan. And their job is to help you discover and navigate Michigan Learning Channel and PBS resources. So if you go to michiganlearning.org/coordinators, you can find those folks, find the person in your region, and please reach out to them and get in touch. And so thank you so much for being here, and I will send it back to you, Annie.
Okay, so let's take a look at our agenda for the day. We're doing our welcome and overview. We'll do an inside the lesson of mystery word lessons together and have some time for you to be in breakout rooms with a colleague to be able to talk about how you might use this lesson or thoughts that you have. Then we'll do our second word type, or word builders type of lesson, word ladders with Mrs. Skelly, and also have a Q&A after that. And at the end, we'll be able to have some time for closing, give you a preview of some other things to come. Just so you know, that learner guide that was put into the chat for you has links to everything we're going to talk about. If you had to come in a few minutes late, the links we put in earlier for the essential instructional practices are also linked in there, as well as the Michigan ELA standards. So hopefully you've all had a chance to, as I said, we'll be sharing mystery words and word letters today. And I want to just give you a little insight into these essential instructional practices. So if you haven't had a chance to open that link, this would be a great time to do that right now. The essential instructional practices, there are 10 practices. These were put together by the Early Literacy Task Force, which is under MAISA and the General Education Leadership Network here in Michigan. And today we're going to be focusing on Essential Instructional Practice 4. The big idea with the essentials is that if we did these 10 practices every day that were connected to research, we'd be able to see a lot of gains in our classrooms. And so when we think about the word builders lesson types, these lessons link to teaching children about phonological awareness. And as part of this work, children will work on phonological skills such as segmenting and blending, and also substituting, adding, and deleting sounds. So these are connected, as I said, to Essential Instructional Practice 4. And it is tiny print on your screen right now, but hopefully you're able to have this document up in front of you. And we have highlighted here bullet 3, which says activities that involve segmenting sounds in words, and bullet 4, which are activities that involve blending sounds in words. And so you'll see those in the lessons that we highlight today. Here's another resource for you that was created. Basically, we had some excellent training with our Michigan researchers. And when Dr. Laura Tortorelli did her training with us back in 2016, I was thinking, goodness, if I were a first grade teacher still, I would want this at my fingertips in a way I could use it. And so this document we're going to put in here is basically a progression of phonological awareness development that we hope might be helpful to you as you're doing small group work or planning your instruction in your classroom to see easiest to hardest phonological skills. And also as you're looking today at our lessons, you'll be able to see what do you see us doing in these lessons and how that might be represented on that developmental progression that we're sharing with you in the chat. Again, that's also in that learner guide for you. So the other essential we're going to be focusing on today is essential instruction.
Annie.
Oh, how long was I on mute? Did it go on mute a while ago?
Just for a few seconds.
Oh, thank God. Okay, sorry. There's too many things in my window. So where did I leave off, Jillian? Where should I start up?
I think you were starting 5.
Oh, great. Okay. So we're going to take a look at essential instructional practice number 5, which is explicit instruction in letter sound relationships. And in word builders, in these lessons, children will learn how to work with, they'll learn letter sound relationships. They'll be attaching letters or graphemes to sounds, also known as phonemes, to build phonics knowledge and to learn patterns to support both decoding or reading and encoding writing. So again, as I said, these are related to essential instructional practice 5, specifically bullet 1, verbally precise and involving multiple channels such as oral and visual or visual and tactile. Bullet 3, instruction in letter sound relationships is taught systematically in relationship to students' needs and aligned with the expectations of the Michigan K-3 standards for ELA and literacy. And number 5, instruction in letter sound relationships is reinforced through coaching children during reading, and most notably by cueing children to monitor for meaning and to attend to the letters and words and recognize letter sound relationships that have been taught. When we think about coaching, we don't have children in front of us for these lessons that we can actually coach, but we're kind of coaching from afar and trying to walk them through what they could be doing at home as they're reading and writing on the other side of the screen from us. So the other thing I want you to think about, and we don't have these pulled up on screen, but essential instructional practice 9 is all about assessment. And so we hope that you'll think about how you might use your assessment data that you have and think about which children would benefit from these lessons and word builders that we will be talking about today. The last thing I want to say is that Essentials 4 and 5, phonological awareness and explicit instruction and letter sound relationships, support writing. And so the last essential we're just highlighting today is Essential 6. In some of the word builders lessons, students will be asked to write. And again, this is connected to Essential Instructional Practice 6, specifically to Bullet 5, which talks about spelling strategies and sometimes with letter formation. I also just want to say, I'm not sure what happened with our sign-in sheet, but I will figure it out. So while I'm on a break not speaking, I'll make sure that that gets fixed, and I apologize for any missed links, but we will make sure you'll have a chance to get signed in today. Okay. Besides the sign-in sheet, hopefully everything else is going okay on your end, and we just have another link in the chat to the Essential Instructional Practices for you. On our next slide, what I'm going to do is show you about how we tried to show the essentials connections to the Michigan ELA standards. And again, these are very similar to every state's Common Core standards. So even if you're not in Michigan, it should look familiar to you. If you look on the left-hand side, it talks about different skills: segmenting, blending, phoneme substitution, phoneme deletion, or phoneme insertion. So this is an outline for you to look at later and have for a reference. And again, shows the skills taught in word letters and mystery word. In the essentials connections in the middle part there, you will note there's an acronym that says EIP, and that stands for Essential Instructional Practice. Following that is a number that references the essential number, and the second number after the period is connected to the bullet. So for example, skills of segmenting and blending are connected to Essential Instructional Practice for bullet 3. And so you will see EIP 4.3. And similarly, this is what we did for the My ELA standards. So for example, when you see RF.K.1.A, the RF stands for reading foundational skills, the K for the grade level of kindergarten, the 1 for the first strand under reading foundational skills, and the A for the first letter under strand 1. That was a lot to say. So anyhow, this is the sort of nitty gritty, and now we're going to get into letting you have a chance to view our lessons. The first lesson that we will be starting with is mystery word. And I want to thank, I forgot to put credit, but my sister who's in Massachusetts sent me this picture of her kids watching me teach. So that was kind of fun because they're very far away from me. And so it was really nice to be able to see kids in action. We always love photos, so feel free to be tweeting and sharing any pictures of kids you know who might be using these. So let's talk about what mystery word is. Mystery word might be known to you as building words or making words. In these lessons, children are asked to segment sounds, so they're breaking them apart, attach letters to them, and then build full words. They're asked to write the words as we make them, and that really helps them to connect that phoneme to the grapheme. When we first shut down with the pandemic, I was doing some free classes online for kids, and these were one of the lessons that I was doing for children because they really didn't need much. All they needed was like something to write with and something to write on: scrap paper, a broken crayon, whatever. And that's something that we really maintain our integrity to as the Michigan Learning Channel, of making sure that materials are not a barrier for kids, so that it's equitable, that we really want any child to be able to participate as much as possible without really having much at home to do that. So all children need for these lessons is a piece of scrap paper and something to write with. We know that kids might not have something to write with, and so one of the things that we do is invite children to do skywriting in these lessons to help like mitigate that piece. If you happen to have not muted your mic, if you could just do that, that would be great so much. We sort of made a diagram to help you know as a teacher what you'd need to do to prepare for this. So the first thing is you want to know the word you're going to use. So you want to think about a phonics skill that you're trying to teach children in your class. And usually like I really try and relate it to something that a big theme that I'm teaching in my classroom, or I did when I was a first grade teacher and last year during the shutdown and now during Michigan Learning Channel. So again, you're thinking of a theme connected to what you're learning and skills. And then you have to create your materials. So all you need is a large set of letters to build with. You'll want column headings to represent the number of letters in the words you'll make. So for instance, this one, we were making 2-letter words, 4-letter words, and 5-letter words, mostly. And then you want to have individual index cards with the words you will build. So the final job is then you're going to make sure these are in order so that they make sense for kids. So as you build them, they're kind of building off of each other and you're helping kids make connections between the words that they have in front of them and switching out that, again, substituting, adding, deleting sounds that will support them with their learning. So as you see, this mystery word is focused on 2-letter, 4-letter, and 5-letter words, and it's connected to what we were doing in the springtime, was learning about nature and how animals survive in nature. So some of you may have already figured out what that mystery word was without looking at the little hint there. Just so you know, this lesson is connected, as you see in that earlier chart we talked about, to Essential Instructional Practice 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5, and to Essential Instructional Practice 6.5. A few other things to know, and then we're going to watch it. This lesson was geared toward children at the end of first grade and comes after a few other mystery word lessons on the Michigan Learning Channel. The earlier lessons have a lot more scaffolding and they had some easier patterns in them. So we just want you to know up front that this is not something we're expecting at this time of the year for first graders. Also, I told you this was connected to our theme of nature and how animals survive and grow. And also one of the things I was really trying to do in this is help children make connections between, if you know one word, how you can use what you know to be able to spell another word. So for example, if you can spell foal, we were learning about animal, adults, and offspring. So if you can spell foal, then you can spell goal. This is a sophisticated one, so you'll see me giving a lot of hints, probably over the top with the hints in the lesson, but again, it's a sophisticated word for the kids to have. Okay, so what we're going to have you do is we want you to be able to have some time to do some writing of watching mystery word. And so we're going to put a link in the chat to a reflection form for you. And on this reflection form, you can just jot down some of the ideas you have as you're watching it. We're going to be asking you to think about how you see it connected to your instructions, opportunities you see, and new practices you might try and implement, as well as questions. So that's in the chat for you right now. And you can open it up. I think it should be forcing you to make a copy of it so that you have to open it in a new screen so you can type into it. Of course, you can just jot down as well. Okay. Hey there, learners. It's Mrs. Spear again. Guess what? Can you tell by my outfit what we're going to do today? A mystery word. We're going to be detectives and solve a mystery word today. Okay, go grab your stuff. I'll meet you back here and we'll get started building words. Check this out. We got an envelope with words for the mystery word, and it says, a mystery word connected to your topic. Our topic, we're learning about nature. We've learned about frogs. We're learning about how animals survive. So what we're going to build is going to lead to that. Let's get started. Double check and hold up these letters for me. Let's make sure you have yours. Hold up your A, your other A, E, O, U, C, F, G, L, M. We're focusing on 2-letter words, 4-letter words, and 5-letter words today. So even though there's a lot of other words we can make with these letters, that's our focus. So you need 3 columns today with 2, 4, and 5 in them. Let's get started. The first word, 2 letters, 2 sounds. The word is am. 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 A. M. Can you make am at home? A-M spells am. 2 sounds, 2 letters. I'm going to put am right over here, and you can write am where you are. A-M. If you don't have a pencil and paper, skywrite it. We're going to take the word camel, and I want to change it into the word came. My friend came over to walk. Let's do the sounds. 3 sounds. K, A, M, came. 3 sounds, but 4 letters. K, A, M. We don't need this O, but we need another letter. Yes, we need a final E at the end. C-A-M-E spells came. 4 letters, 3 sounds. Can you write came under 4 letters for me? Okay, so we spelled camo, And then when we changed it and put this final E, the A changed to an A sound. Okay, now we're going to change one letter to make the word came change into the word cage. Cage. Birds, you'll see in a special cage if they are someone's pet. What letter do we have to change? Yes, K, A, J. We don't want the we're going to change that to letter G. Cage has 3 sounds, K, A, J, but there's a final E that helps A to say the A sound. Can you write cage? C-A-G-E, cage. Now we're going to do something fun. We're going to change full into goal. If you play soccer, you might try and score a goal. G-O-L. What letter are we going to change? Yes, the first letter, F. We're going to change out and put a G there instead. G-O-L. G-O-L. Goal. G-O-A-L. Can you write goal now? Isn't it fun to see? If you can spell full, you can spell goal. I'm going to add goal down here. Our next word is clue. K-U. There's 3 sounds, but there's 4 letters. K-U. Yes, that's letter C and letter L. Now, with the vowels that we have left, how could we make the U sound? What patterns have you been working on for that? You've got it. U and E can make the U sound. C-L-U-E spells clue. I will tell you, a clue for the mystery word today is, again, it's related to our topic. We talked about it with frogs. It's something they use for protection. There's another clue. Okay, I want you to now take clue and change it into glue. What would we have to do? G-L-U. 3 sounds, 4 letters. You've got it. If you can spell glue, then you can spell glue. We just have to change the very first letter because that's the sound that's different, but the pattern is staying the same. G-L-U-E spells glue. Well done. Make sure that you write that at home or wherever you are. Okay, I want you to make the word camo. Can you make that word again that we've made already today? K-A-M-O. Great, and it has a little word am in it. Okay, now the word that is our mystery word is a word that we have talked about. It's how animals can protect themselves. Something they use that helps them to blend in. Do you remember what that's called? Camouflage. Well done, you got it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, here's what's tricky about camouflage. And if you saw my lesson, you saw that I had a time when I misspelled it and I had to look it up, which is okay. We can't spell every word right all the time. There's a U here. Camouflage. Full. Yeah, that's an F and L. And then the A kind of makes an ah sound. Camouflage. It's kind of weird. This is how you spell it. So I'm just going to show you because it's not one that you would really ever be expected to be spelling on your own in first grade. But it's very connected to what we're doing and we can use what we know and I'm helping you spell it. Let's spell camouflage. Can you say camouflage? Great. Now let's spell it C-A-M-O-U-F-L-A-G-E spells camouflage. And here it is. If you didn't write it yet, you can write it at home. Maybe just pick one of these questions that you can focus on, which is how you see connected to your instruction, opportunities you see, new practices to implement, or questions that you might have. Okay, so would anyone like to share one takeaway or thought with the full group? And then we're going to turn things over to Mrs. Skelly for her to be able to talk about our next lesson type. And you can feel free to unmute or put something in the chat. We're pretty informal here.
Would a question be okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. Our group was wondering how the words were picked, if the teacher chooses the words or if they're provided somewhere.
That is a great question. So all the ones that we had to do, that we do in our mystery word lessons, I choose usually based on what we're working on for patterns in the other lessons. And so we had been doing a lot of vowel team words, and we had been working on, there's another one we did, the oo sound with UE. So we did clue and glue for that reason. So the way these are done, I picked them, but there are other lesson types. You could find other places that have some made for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. And there are a variety of these. We just tried to pick out one for today, but there's several on different episodes. Thanks, Hannah, for your question. Any other questions or thoughts or takeaways? I just want to show you that we have a couple of things in the learner guide for you. So if you don't mind putting me to the next slide, there we go. If you ever want to replicate this yourself, you'll be able to print these out and have them. And then I also created a digital tool that you could use to do this and manipulate through a Google drawing. And it has all the letters that you would just be able to manipulate and have a drawing space. So those are both in the chat for you right now, the regular PDF and a digital version of that. Okay, without further ado, you get to hear someone else speak right now, and that's Mrs. Haley Scala, who I'm so excited is joining us today. So, Haley, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Haley Skelly, as Annie said, and I am one of the kindergarten teachers on Read, Write, Roar, but I'm also a real-life kindergarten teacher for Livonia Public Schools. And I just want to say the beginning of the year is so tough. So all of you that are in classrooms or supporting classrooms, you are heroes. It's amazing, especially this year coming out of a pandemic. It's really difficult. So anyways, I'm going to talk about another lesson type called word ladders. Now we are going to watch a clip from the TV show in just a couple minutes, but I wanted to kind of set it up for you guys. So on this slide, it shows some of the materials you could potentially use for word ladders. So basically in this lesson, the teacher gives a word and the students are asked to segment it on their own. And then they're going to record the sounds that match starting at the bottom of their ladder. So I actually brought my little ladder printout. I don't know if you can see me on the screen, but they're going to write the word at the bottom of their ladder. And then you're going to give them a new word and they're going to change just one part of the word to make a new word. And they're going to go all the way up the rung of each rung of the ladder to make new words. So there's a few different ways that you can utilize this in your classroom based on the phonics knowledge and skills that your students have. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more and give you some background about this specific lesson. The one that you're going to see is geared towards kindergarten in the spring. So in this video, I would expect my students in the spring in kindergarten to be able to identify beginning, middle, and ending sounds. So in this video, I asked students to change the beginning sound sometimes, the middle, or the ending sound, depending on the word. But if I were to teach this right now in kindergarten, I would definitely use a lot more scaffolding and probably just the beginning sound at this point in the year with a lot of help. Maybe not even at this point in the year, maybe a couple months down the road. But if you're in a different grade level, or if your students have different phonics knowledge or a different part of the year, you may consider just changing the middle sound, or maybe they're even ready to add or delete phonemes in addition to substituting the phonemes as they move up their word ladder. So I guess the most important thing to think about is just the phonics skills that your students have and the phonics skills that you're trying to teach, just like Annie's lesson. So when you're first introducing word ladders, you probably want to use a template, like drawing a ladder so students understand the task. So I just literally took a ruler and just drew this out for the TV show. We're also going to provide you with a template in just a little bit that's in the learner guide. But when you're first teaching it, you're going to want to use a scaffold like a template so they understand what they're supposed to do. But I wanted to share, last year, I was also a virtual kindergarten teacher besides recording for the TV show. And my students didn't have a lot of resources at home. But they all had whiteboards. So we, just like in the picture you can see, I had students just use their whiteboard for this. So they started at the bottom and wrote a word. And then as they went up their whiteboard, they changed just one letter at a time. So you can teach this without a lot of different props and materials. One other thing I wanted to share. In this video, I just simply give the word and use it in a sentence so students have context of what the word is. But as I recorded more lessons and taught this lesson virtually more often, I started using props. So like my little beanie babies, like here's a cat. So that could help them understand the word cat, or maybe little picture cards or things like, or hand signals to show different words to enhance understanding. And I realized this year I'm teaching in person with a mask, and it's kind of hard for students to understand exactly what word I'm trying to say sometimes. So I think I'm going to use a lot of props this year to enhance that understanding and also assist ELL students to understand what I'm trying to say and understand those vocabulary words. One last thing. As a result of doing work and professional development around the essential instructional practices the past few years, I've been very intentional in embedding those into my practices and daily routine. I think that's the key, just making sure when you're planning with your team to embed them right into your routines and your lesson plans, and that's going to help you from the get-go. So we are going to now watch a lesson from the TV show, and we're going to put a link in the chat of another reflection form. You are welcome to click on it and open it up and record your reflections, questions, or thoughts. And if you have any questions that pop up, feel free to type them in the chat as well. All right, enjoy.
Today, we're going to build a word ladder. We're going to start at the bottom, and then we're going to change just one letter in the word. Just like a ladder, we're going to start at the bottom and make our way all the way to the top. Make sure you have something to write with so you can write with us. The first word we're going to write is the word cup. I like to drink milk from a cup. Let's listen for the sounds in the word cup. K, cup. Let's write that word at the bottom of our ladder. K, cup. I like to take my finger and check to make sure I spelled it the right way. K, cup. Good. Okay, now we're going to change one letter in the word cup to make the word pup. My pup was so cute when she was little. Pup. Let's look and listen to the sounds and figure out what letter we need to change to turn cup into pup. Pup. What letter do we need to change? That's right. We need to change the beginning sound of the word cup. We need to take away the C and add a P. Let's write the word pup. Take your finger and check it. Pup. Good. Okay, now we're going to change one letter in the word pup to make the word pop. I like to pop my bubble gum. Pop. Let's listen for the sounds. Pop. What letter do we need to change to turn pup into pop? That's right. We need to change the middle sound. We need to take out the U and make it into an O. Let's write it down. Say the sounds as you write it. Let's take our finger and check it. Pop. Very good. Okay, now we're going to change the word pop into pot. I use a pot to cook my rice. Pot. Let's listen for the sounds in the word pot. Pot. What letter do we need to change to turn pop into pot? That's right. We need to change the ending sound. We need to take out the P and add in a T. Let's write it down. Listen to the sounds as you write down the word pot. Ah, t. Take your finger and check it. Ah, t. Pot. Wow, you're doing great. Okay, now we're going to change the word pot into the word pat. My dog loves it when I pat her on the head. Pat. Let's listen to the sounds. Pat. Pat. What letter do we need to change to turn pot into pat? That's right. We need to change the middle sound. We need to take out that O and add in an A. Great. Let's write it down. Don't forget to say the sounds as you write it. At. Take your finger and check the sounds. At. Pat. Great. Now we're going to change the word pat into pan. I love to make pancakes in a pan. Yum. That makes me hungry. Let's listen to the sounds in the word pan. An. Pan. What letter do I need to change to turn pat into pan? That's right. We need to change the ending sound. We need to take out the T and add in an N. Go ahead and write it down. Don't forget to say the sounds as you write the word pan. An. Pan. Great. We've got one more word to get to the top of our ladder. The last word we're going to make is we're going to change the word pan into the word man. The man was really nice. Man. Let's listen to the sounds. An. Man. What letter do you think we need to change to turn pan into man? That's right. We have to take out the P and add in an M. Very good. Let's write down the word man. Don't forget to say the sounds as you write it down. Man. Take your finger and check it. Man. We just wrote the word man. Now pay special attention to this word because it's going to come up later when we read a nursery rhyme. You did an amazing job writing all the words on our word ladder today.
All right. I hope that you were able to kind of get something out of that lesson that you might use in your classroom. I wanted to mention that that lesson was aligned to Essential Instructional Practice 4.3, 5.1, 5.3, 5.5, and 6.5. And feel free if you have any questions to put them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do that.
I know one of our questions in our breakout session was why you go from bottom to top instead of top to bottom like they read. And I was guessing it had something to do with difficulty going up, like you're climbing a ladder, but maybe someone can elaborate on why the ladder goes that way. And then another question, personally, I teach second grade. So as we get into harder words, not just the 3-letter rules or, you know, what does that look like? Do you have specific examples that could make these more difficult?
Absolutely. So I think the ladder, the whole idea is kind of like climbing a ladder, right? Just like thinking about if you start at the bottom of the ladder and climb up. But if you wanted to tweak it for your own classroom, you could definitely start at the top and they could change the word and you could go down if you wanted to do it that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think for your class, if you want to make it more challenging, just think about the phonics skills that you're working on. So if you're working on ing endings, or if you're working on probably not digraphs in second grade, they would have learned that in first grade, but different skills, you can just incorporate those phonics skills into the words. So Annie, can you think of any good second grade examples? I haven't taught second grade before. I feel like kindergarten is its own little world.
No stress, Haley. That was such a good answer. I'm going to put in the chat. There's Tim Rosinski. So he is like the person who does word letters, the researcher on that. I'm going to put a link. He does word letter Wednesdays, which are really fun and they're free. And so he has a book that's specifically for grade levels, but I'll put his Twitter link in there. And I'm not really good at Twitter, but that's like one of the people I follow. And so every Wednesday he'll send a new one out. So there's free ones right on his Twitter feed that I put in the chat for you. And I think his do go top to bottom. Anyway, that's good question. Thank you. And I know we're getting short on time, which I hate, but if you don't mind, if you can put questions in the chat or comments in the chat, that would be great. And then we'll, Haley, I'll have you go on to the next part so that we don't lose our time. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Real quick, in your learner guide, there is a template for a blank ladder template handout if you want to use that, or you can just make your own.
Thank you, Haley. And thanks for being so brave to come right into this space after, and to be on TV. The other thing I want to let you know is if the essentials are new to you, or if you want to do some more learning around them, literacyessentials.org is your home spot to go and find anything you need about the literacy essentials. There's online modules that are free and you get free sketches for those. Those were vetted by all of the researchers that work with us. So Dr. Nell Duke from University of Michigan, Dr. Tanya Wright from Michigan State, Dr. Laura Tortorelli from Michigan State. Those three were, we based those on their presentations they'd done for us. We also have school-wide and center-wide modules and coaching modules. And just like a really fun special fact is that Dr. Susan Lallier, who is so esteemed in the field of coaching, joined us today. And so if you want to learn more about coaching, you can get those free modules through EduPass as well. And all that information will be linked in for you. There's a tutorial that I put together for how to sign up for these. And those are just available anytime at literacyessentials.org and lots of other things too. Turn it over to you, Haley.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Here's our contact information. So feel free to reach out to me or Annie if you have any questions at all.
And thank you so much to Susan Townsend, who is our Director of all things literacy at MAISA. Susan, if you can just unmute and even say hello so people see your face on screen, that'd be so great. She's been here like helping so much in the background with all the things. And are you there, Susan? Maybe I'll let you go. But
I'm here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending and great work, ladies.
Well, and Susan started this work with Michigan Learning Channel last year, all the dreaming about it. So I bet it's really great to be able to see it all coming together. And Rhonda Provost again is here. Thank you, Rhonda, for your part in supporting all the coaches and all coaches and teachers who came. These are ways to keep in touch with us. So if you liked today, you could tweet it out or put it on Facebook so people will come to the next ones. Here is a way that you can give us feedback and that you can apply for your sketches. There's a link in case you don't know which ISD you're in. We were trying to link this back to our ISDs so we can find out and connect our coaches to people that are attending things like this. And if you're from out of state, you can select that on the now working sign-in form. That wasn't working earlier. But we have a couple of links that are going into the chat for you now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope you'll come to the next sessions that are upcoming. It's exactly 5 o'clock on the dot, and I can stay on for a few more minutes, but we can't thank you enough for joining us at the end of a long day on a Monday. So cheers and such gratitude to every teacher, coach, administrator, whoever you are in this room for being here and for what you do for kids every day. Keep reading, writing, and roaring wherever you are.